Welcome back to another episode of Full Circle. And we're going to continue the discussion of this like psychological jail, this prison that you are in. I call it the construct. And I have been working with this model for a long time. And when it was first presented to me, it was just a square on like a giant pad of paper in a room full of 40 people. And they didn't put in all the sides and it wasn't explained thoroughly. It was just like all these limited ideas and stuff was, they're basically, what do you want out of life? What is your what would you like to experience? Like, if there were no limits, what would it be? Would it be like spiritual connection with Source, God? Would it be visitation with an angel or an alien? Sure, yeah, I write that down in the middle of the box. You know, would it be, experiencing a loving relationship, wealth, abundance, health, well-being, and all that stuff was put in the middle. And then on the outside of this square, this box, this container, um, was what's something that would stop you? Criticism from parents, uh, religion, uh, trying to stop you, rules, laws, from the collective, that might not be morally acceptable, whatever it is. It was a free zone. It didn't have to be spelled out in detail, but what is it? You know, uh, living in poverty, low self esteem, whatever, feeling triggered, like, so anger, rage, frustration, like abuse, just all kinds of stuff was put on the outside. So the box really wasn't clarified. But in my own mind, I started seeing it differently. I started literally seeing it as a cube and really organizing the information into the six sides. And so this is what comes out of it. In the previous video, we talked about the first one I like to think of as the bottom, Earth, and its environments, as people, places, things. And so limiting you, specifically the box is limiting. So it's limiting environments, limiting people, limiting objects. So that could be your food. That could be your vehicle. If it's always breaking down, it limits your success to get to work it's creating anxiety. It's a gamble if you're going to make it, limited funds. So all things of the material world are basically like props on the stage of life, supporting your your show, your drama. Okay. The other box was the subscriptions to beliefs, ideas, social mores that are always shifting. You know, it's okay to have more than one partner in this culture at this time period. Oh, now it's not okay. Oh, it's okay to work with herbs. Not okay now. It's okay to talk to yourself. Nope, not okay now. And so, kind of like, so the rules of the system, the programming, uh, that all goes on another side of the box. And then I think a really big one that encompasses a lot is ego slash drama. We all have an ego. We all are on the stage of life. We're all going to get in a relationship and have drama. And we're going to act out all this shadow material, all this psychological baggage. And there's a purpose for it, okay? It's to look at ourselves. Others are a mirror. The experiences that we curate for ourselves is so we can gain self knowledge, self understanding, self awareness. So, none of the boxes are bad, but when they're limiting you, when it's causing more problems than good, when you become a prisoner of your own psychology, of when your personality takes over your life, and then you're not meaning what you say and saying what you mean, you become dysfunctional, you become trapped. So that is really the point of this. Let's move on to the other boxes. The box I like to think of as opposite to the beliefs, and I would label as air for beliefs, um, is water, and that's emotions. To form a memory, you have to have an image, you have to have an emotion, and you have to have a thought, and it all gels together as a memory. It's like a marker in time and space. And you're like, yeah, that happened 10 years ago. And so it's like a film strip, and we have memory to reference ourselves, to reference what we've been through. It kind of solidifies things. So a good example is I went to that corporate training, on how to get out of your own psychological box. And I remembered certain elements, but there's huge gaps in that memory. And we fill it in with erroneous content. When there's a gap, so it's like there is a system running, and it's a fractal, and it will be putting out a pattern. And that pattern will, this is maybe not the best analogy. This is maybe not the best way to describe it. But all the gaps in the information get filled with the fractal pattern or program, and it kind of like makes it believable. It helps you ignore where the system isn't actually working, and you ignore it. You're able to read the disc, you're able to move along in the video game, and you don't notice the distortions so much, the gaps in the program, because it has this other program running that fills it in with a pattern. We do the same thing. That's where a lot of mistakes happen. Well, I remember it this way. Didn't you say that? No, you filled that in with your own beliefs, your own stored content. So, with what we say assumptions, expectations. Oh, I heard it wrong. I literally thought you said a bucket of seagulls. No, I said please pass the salt. So, we always want to be right. That's the ego, that's the personality. So we can feel safe in the world. And so we can believe what we just went through and have enough belief to go through the next moment and the next moment. So we're always weaving a story together. And the gaps are always being filled, unfortunately, with history, your beliefs, your ideas, your thoughts, your ideals, and even what other people are saying. Hey, so do you think Jenny was like attacking me when she said this and this? Oh, you agree? Okay. And we fill in those gaps with what other people think is true, how other people saw it. We fail to realize they might have an agenda. We fail to realize they don't see clearly. There's this grand assumption that maybe you can see better than me. Oh, you haven't done the inner work. Oh, you have a major filter and you don't even know it. So you're kind of not a resource. You're not a safe resource to get perspective, to get understanding. You're not guiding me. You're not a lighthouse. I'm a ship stuck out at sea. I'm relying on you to guide me. So we rely on our caregivers, we rely on our authority figures, that they're going to give us clear, true information where we can fill in gaps to understand a situation, to understand ourselves. We rely on our therapist to be a lighthouse and a guide, point out and fill in gaps for us. Well, you have a master's degree and you have 50 years of experience. Oh, but what you're telling me is outdated information, but you're still trying to fit it in the gap for my current situation. So take everything under advisement and stop trusting yourself so much, because most of what you feel, think, and remember is all history. And it's all. So once you realize that, it can make you more curious about life. So memory is faulty and it can not actually be in your highest good. It might not be such a trusty ally. So you might be giving a lot of credit to your memory. And it's kind of unarguable. Like, who can argue with you? So it's kind of a manipulative device when someone says, I know I have a really great memory. You don't. You can get gaslighted by relying on someone else's memory. you know So memory isn't the best source for truth and information and understanding. And memory also serves your ego personality. Well, this is me, and I grew up here. This is my nationality, and this is my family, and this is my friends, and this is what I went through, and here I am now. So memory is important. It helps curate an idea of you and stabilize it. If you lose your memory, you kind of lose your identity, you know? So memory has a positive function. When it's misused and it's used to justify actions, it can be dangerous. When your memory becomes your advisor, well, I remember this, so I'm going to make this choice now. I remember every time some guy doesn't text me, he was actually with someone else. So I noticed so and so is not texting me anymore. So I'm going to assume, I'm going to fill in the gap. They're with someone else. I'm going to delete them, block them, and move on with someone else. 3 months later, hey, I was really into you. Why did you ghost me? I didn't ghost you. You ghost me. And it was because you were cheating. Okay. Obviously, this relationship, I wanted to come back, just check in with you, see if you're like me, I like you. I didn't understand where you went. So when your memories become your advisor, your history, your story, the way the collective remembered humanity coming from apes, you know, or the grand exodus from Egypt, we don't know if that's true. Why would you? So when you just blindly trust, when you assume and accept that's your history, you're subscribing to something that may not be real, you know? And maybe it was just from a certain perspective. From the loser's perspective, history is written a different way. You know, winners write the history in favor of themselves. Ask the animal kingdom from their perspective how human history has gone down with, you know, the industrial age and the technology age. How has it served them? Their history books, their memory, their perspective is very different. So when you are too reliant on your own, and you know, so history can be a dangerous psychological trap. So the way your parents were treating you when you're younger, you recorded that with the level of intelligence that you had at that time and how you understood things in that way. So your truth, your history is not exactly correct. If you were going through that experience now, you might understand things differently. Oh, my parents weren't ignoring me. They were actually really busy juggling 3 kids, their work, their failed relationship, and like meddling parents that are getting too involved in their life, you know? And it really had nothing to do with me. So we write stories that, and if gone unchecked and unchallenged, if not updated and advised, we're kind of we're outdated androids. You know, we're outdated models of the present moment, and we're not seeing clearly, and we're not making clear assessments of what's going on because we have this filter of history. We have our story because we want to be right. So we see now that this cube, this psychological gel, you activate one side, it enforces and affirms and validates the other side. But all of them may not be true. All of them are a mixed bag, and it's not you. It's this construct, it's an identity. The identity needs the construct in order to exist. It's a matrix. So, your story. So, we also frame other people and we write stories about them, who they are, limiting stories, because this is about limitation. So when this person walks in the room, you fail to take account. That's a new version of them. This is a fresh new moment. You didn't give them the privilege, the the right to be anything other than the character that you remember them as. I'm never gonna trust so and so because they cheated on me 10 years ago. Okay, but guess what? 10 years have passed and they've evolved and they're a completely different person. So you justifying your grudge, your bitter feelings, and throwing that at them on an innocent new person, this person's 10 years different. You not recognizing that is not great, okay? It's a very limited experience. You're creating separation, limitation. You're missing out on an opportunity. Maybe during that 10 years, they really learned something, really opened their heart and their mind. They're literally a different person, but they look so similar to the version you knew, okay? So history can really limit you. Your story, the history of humanity, I don't subscribe to it. I don't buy into it. Don't tell me that we came from apes. Don't tell me that aliens came and did this. I'm an advanced being. I'm going to write my own story. If we're all going to live in stories and make believe and lies, I'm going to write one that actually serves me. This is how human history goes, according to Onyx. A portal opened up from the future. The humans walked into the past, and we've been here ever since. So, wah, big deal. That's my truth. And it's irrelevant. It's only relevant to me. So we write our own fictional history, our fictional stories. If you subscribe to it, I bet your ego wants to use it for better and for worse, okay? The next one, which is kind of a hard one, I like to call pain and triggers. So the other side of the box, we feel triggered. We feel pain. Memory and pain kind of go together. It's a response, and then we might cue up that memory of that pain because memory and emotion plus an image and a thought equal a memory. So we have stored pain in our memory cache, in our memory, and it's called a trigger. And with it is probably thoughts, a history, beliefs. It all comes together, the whole box. But what's being most strongly activated, or what you're more aware of, is the pain and the trigger. And it shows up as fear, anxiety. It shows up as, basically that, fear and anxiety. And it also will cue up the pain. And so it's like you're being stabbed by an invisible knife, or choked out. You feel panic and you're afraid. We're filling in the gap again with what the present situation is offering. It looks very similar to a past experience, but it's not. But unfortunately, we carry what a lot of people call the pain body. It's a stored pain from history. It goes back generations. If you want to do generational work, it goes back lifetimes if you want to start taking ownership of your karma. But it doesn't have to go back that far. Some people go back as far as the womb. Others go back as far as childhood. But what's really cool is you don't really have to go back because it's always carried forward with you into the present moment. That's why you feel stuck. That's why it's heavy. That's why your life is on repeat. You're like doing Groundhog's Day over and over again. It's because you're carrying all this baggage. You're carrying your construct, and it's not being updated. It's not being challenged. Your construct isn't evolving. The identity of you, your story, your history, your beliefs, you're staying stuck. And a lot of it has to do with this emotional dead weight that's taxing your biology. It's frustrating your neurology. Your avatar is breaking down. And it's because of all this pain and assumed pain. It's going to be painful if I look at my childhood. Or people are even misleading. They go, you need to dive into your emotions and process your emotions in order to release it. No. Yes and no. But don't dive in as your ego and replay it all. Dive in and look at it from a different perspective. Watch it as a movie passing by. Acknowledge it, witness it. Okay. So when you feel so at any and so self-sabotage happens a lot with feeling triggered, assuming, acting out in ways that you normally wouldn't happens a lot because we have a lot of energy in our pain body, in our triggers. So we have gaps of information and we assume, and our logic is self serving. It's actually not very logical or reasonable. It's always just self serving, our personality, our ego, our construct. We got a recipe for disaster. Now you add, and now we use our triggers, our pain, our past to make sense of what's going on right now. You know, that person cut me off on the freeway. I know they did it. Oh, it's a male driver. They're just like that. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh, he's bald and he's 52. And oh, so he's upper class and blah, 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 blah. And my people. So now I'm going to speed around him and we weave a story. And we're getting back and we're trying to get justice for this pain. And we'll redeem it today. Today is my day to shine and I'm the hero. Oh, and you get really close to the window. Oh, it's a little old lady. Oh my gosh, I feel so ridiculous. And here I was honking my horn and bullying her and pretending I was like some gangster on the freeway. I feel so bad, and she looks just like my grandma. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Oops. Humiliation. So you see how easy it is to mistake a situation, mistake ourselves, mistake others. We can kind of dismantle a lot of that. So acknowledge. So people are trapped. It's like they're being triggered by their pain. They go into their emotions and their memory. They bounce back to their belief system, or their belief system is being challenged. Someone's acting out of character. They feel out of control. Then it reminds them of their pain. They go back to their emotions, or the environment isn't supporting them. It triggers everything. Or now they need to create drama. Now they don't feel heard. Now they need to get proactive and be an advocate. Their ego is inflated. Now they think about, what can I get out of all this? Start a I can start a program for me where people will give me money. I'll get social attention. I can do a lot of damage. I can get really out there and get a lot of attention and positive, negative. Can I gain? Can I gain by not healing? Can I gain by staying broken? I notice a lot of men come and rescue me when I'm broken. I'll stay broken forever. Why would I quit? I'm so worthless. Why would I change? Why would I be an empowered woman? Why would I be an empowered gay man? Why would I be an empowered man? Why would I be an empowered 14-year-old or a 50-year-old or 80-year-old when I can gain from my losses? How clever, right? The shadow. How do I gain? So that's the ego box. From my pain, from my triggers, so people become lifetime martyrs, lifetime victims, painting everyone else as the bully. It's kind of backwards. So the last box, which we kind of went into, is our behaviors, especially like addictive, habitual behaviors that keep validating. Our behaviors are kind of like self-sabotage, but they also reinforce the rest of the structure. My behaviors become signals to validate my ego. They become signals to affirm my so-called rightness, my so-called truth, to justify my beliefs, to justify my actions, to justify my history. Why on earth would I stop drinking? Why on earth would I stop tossing my hair like that? I know I get attention. That's my signature move. Why would I stop? Why will this not be my favorite color? This is me. This is my, why will I not stop grieving at my mother's grave, 4 times a year? Why will I always, you know, be a rebel? So our behaviors, our habits reinforce and let people know kind of who we are and what we stand for. And it like cements and affirms repeatedly the whole structure, which is kind of an illusion. And so I'm not going to stop going to therapy. I'm not going to stop taking these pills. I rely on them because I believe I have this condition, because I feel this way, because I have this type of reaction, triggered responses. So I go to the environment that supports my illness. I hold on to the past, which supports my illness. Uh, I keep subscribing daily to what others are suggesting to me. I keep reading data on this illness. I keep it on repeat, you know, and every time I dive into my emotions and my thoughts, I re trigger myself. So it must be true. So all my triggering pain is telling me that really happened. It really was that bad. And then I behave, I act out, which then lets my community know as I enroll everyone else into my story of me. I'm getting a lot. But unfortunately, it's not. It's negative attention, and it's staying broken, it's staying stuck, and it's getting toxic. And then we look in the mirror and we don't like ourselves. Then we look in the mirror and we feel out of control. Then we think the world is against us. We have now trapped ourselves. And then we go, we need therapy. And I'm like, no, you need to break down this box. The beliefs, the environment, the ego, personality, the drama, the memories, the story, the history, the pain body, the triggering, which is really where most people get stuck. Because once you're triggered, you're active, you know? And then the behavior. So pain, behavior, and ego usually go together. And then it's justified with thoughts, feelings, and the environmental structure. And you put all six together, you are completely convinced this is who you are. You have this condition. This is how the world works. This is the reality. The world is splitting. We're going to go into New Earth. Aliens are coming to save us. Dude, do you know what you subscribe to? What are you getting out of it? How are you not taking ownership of your life? Are you giving it to aliens? Are you giving it to this narrative? Are you giving it to these ideas? Are you giving it to your past? So in these behaviors, they're always serving you. This whole structure is always serving you. You actually think it's working for your favor, but it's not. Let's see. But it also, this structure that is taking all your energy, that what you call your life and yourself, it's helping you ignore. So entertainment, checking out, zoning out, helps you ignore. Having catastrophes and dramas and fires to put out, being disorganized, is helping you ignore the core issue. We like to call it a blind spot. It's also helping you to ignore your shadow, which every time you act out of your prison cell, you activate these squares and you justify your behavior and you harm others because you think what you're doing is going to get you something good now. It'll give you a sense of power, self-control, and safety because you think you end up feeding what we like to call your shadow. It grows on this negative energy. Your shadow becomes stronger and manipulates the box. It triggers you. It uses your weaknesses against you. It uses your faulty memory. It uses your beliefs. And then you're stuck. It wants to keep you in the jail. It wants to feed off of you because it's actually a part of you. But it actually, in a weird way, doesn't exist. It's like artificial intelligence inside of you. And so it triggers that negative voice that's always criticizing you. It cues up, like, I know how to keep Onyx here. I'll just cue up a memory when he was beat. I'll cue up a memory when everyone was rude to him at school and he had to run around hiding so he wouldn't die. You know, I'm going to. So it uses your history, it uses your memories, it uses your thoughts, it uses your behaviors, it uses your environment. It's using the psychological gel. It's all based on limits. It's all based on history. It's all based on input from the outer world. It's like it is your filter, it is your construct, it's the artificial you, it's your ego identity, it's your blind spot. It's using all of that, and you're stuck in a prison. Then you're like, I need to medicate myself. I think I'm really crazy. I'm having a breakdown. It's like, dude, what needs to break down is the construct. You are actually fine. It's just the structure has gotten so solid for you, so real for you. You just assume it's reality of it. It's now controlling you. And that's not how it's designed. It's supposed to be flexible, altering, changing. You're supposed to be the architect. You go, yeah, I built that when I was 12, but now it's time to remove it. I'm 32 years old. Why does Jenny always act like a child? Why does someone always act like a bully? How come Joey down the street never recovers? They're not breaking down the construct. How come there's no change? How come everyone's so boring? How come everyone's a zombie? How come no one's shining and being an inspiration and being the change? How come the future isn't now? Why are people squabbling like children? Why are people still doing the same old thing? The construct, the definitions, the ideas that they're holding on to as something more real than themselves. It's an illusion. It's delusional. Hey, but as long as you pay me and come to my office, I'll get my clipboard and my paper and I will listen to you and ask you questions. You can tell me all about your construct. I'll never tell you you built it. You would leave. You would go, oh, sure, I'll prescribe medication, but I won't tell you how to get out of your construct. I won't tell you that all of your problems, this identity of you, is just validating this false sense of self, a constructed self. You have built and manufactured a self. You have built and manufactured a filter to isolate, to separate, to create a personal experience, but it's illusion. I'm not going to tell you you can change the beliefs. You can rewrite the story. You can use it for self-reflection and go, I guess I don't need that memory anymore. I guess I can edit it. I guess I could delete it. I guess I